G'day guys, how's it going? I'm Aaron Whitnall, this is ACWSport, and it's time to review all of the action from Week 2 of the 2017-2018 Premier League season. And there is only one place to start, and that is at Wembley Stadium, where we saw the first major clash of the season as Tottenham hosted Chelsea, and Chelsea responded from their shocking opening day weekend defeat to Burnley at home by beating Tottenham 2-1, thanks to two wonderful goals from Marcos Alonso. Well, I say wonderful. The second one, let's face it, was just a Hugo Lloris howler, which he has openly admitted to, and fair play to him, coming out after the game on Match of the Day, talking to the reporters, holding his hands up and saying, yeah, I screwed up here, I've cost Tottenham this game, but you can't really blame Lloris too much because at the end of the day, how many points does he save you a season? He's still, without a doubt, one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. And look, everyone makes mistakes, it's just a shame it happened in such a big game. But I don't believe that there is a Wembley hoodoo. I thought Tottenham played very, very well throughout the game. Chelsea tactically did very well. Conte, having those three holding midfielders there, just sit in front of the defence, worked brilliantly. Luis, Conte, and of course Bakayoko. It nullified Ali and Eriksen, mainly Eriksen, Ali a little bit. But the biggest problem for Tottenham was that they couldn't get around Chelsea enough. Tottenham's fullbacks, they didn't almost have enough confidence to get around the back of Alonso or Moses enough. And I think ultimately that's what cost Tottenham. I mean, the free kick Alonso scored, there is nothing that any goalkeeper in the Premier League could have done about that. It was truly spectacular. And it's hard to believe that at one point in time, Marcos Alonso couldn't even get into the Bolton starting lineup. And now he's one of Chelsea's key players. So fair play to him for building back his career. But yeah, if he keeps putting in displays like this, he's going to become such an integral part to this Chelsea team as they move forward in the Champions League and the Premier League this season. As for Spurs, as I said, don't worry about the hoodoo. I honestly think Spurs played fantastically. They were just very unlucky that unfortunately Alonso's shot slipped underneath Lloris. But aside from that, there are positives to take away from it. Kane did look sharp, even though he didn't quite manage to get himself on the score sheet. But hopefully against Burnley in the next game, he will be able to break that August duck in the Premier League. But yeah, great response from Chelsea. And as Sir Alex Ferguson always said, if you can play pretty rubbish but still win, that's the sign of champion. So good thing to take away from that in terms of Chelsea. On to the kind of shock of the weekend, I suppose, and that is Arsenal at Stoke. Stoke beating Arsenal 1-0. Hesse putting in a man of the match performance. He looked on fire. Fantastic start to Premier League life for him. Really looks like he's got the bit between his teeth. He looks like he wants to prove himself if he wants to get back to playing in the Champions League for PSG or any of the other big clubs that are apparently interested in him. But Stoke, while you have him, enjoy him, especially if he keeps putting in performances like this. As for Arsenal, it's the first time they have ever had that much possession of the ball, almost 80%. I think it was like 77.9% of the ball in the whole game, and still lost, which is a little bit embarrassing because you did have control of the game. But it's same old Arsenal. When you come up against tough teams like Stoke away from home, you guys just crumble. You don't manage to do very well against them. And it just shows that Wenger needs to invest in someone who's got a bit of steeliness about them, because players do go missing. Mesut Ozil, yet again, went disappearing in that game. And yeah, okay, you can say you guys were unlucky with the Lacazette call from the lino, but when you actually look back at it, the lino made a fantastic call. Seeing that Lacazette's foot was offside, all right, there might have been a bit of flukiness to it. The lino might have got a bit lucky thinking that he was properly offside when it was only his foot, but credit to the lino because it was definitely offside. All I will say on that, though, is I do find it really silly how if it had been Lacazette's arm, he wouldn't have been offside. For me, in that situation, you're either onside or you're onside. There shouldn't be it's his foot, so he's offside, but, it's his arm, he's not offside, because that just adds confusion. Just, keep it black and white, keep it simple for everyone to understand the rules, because it just causes more problems for the people officiating these games. But, yeah, anyway, very disappointing night for Arsenal, and they really need to turn that around quickly. And I think Wenger needs to get back into that transfer market while it's still open, and maybe buy someone, probably a midfielder, who can really do a steely job for that team. Someone like a Kante from Chelsea, obviously not saying buy him, but that's the kind of player you need. Someone who in those games is going to be able to really, grab the ball by the horns and drag Arsenal through it, because they just don't have a player like that at the moment. And that's why for me at the moment, they're really going to struggle to make Champions League football this season. Looking at some of the other results, obviously Everton versus Manchester City, City versus Everton on Monday night at the Etihad. Very fiery encounter. I predicted that this would be a draw, even though I said 2-2, it ended up being 1-1, but still pretty happy with the prediction. And I did also predict that Wayne Rooney would score on his return to the Etihad, and it was just in the it was in the clouds, wasn't it? You knew it was just perfectly written down on the script for him. You knew that he was going to get his 200th Premier League goal against his arch rivals, because of course being a Man United legend. And he did it in some fashion. He's also scored his 50th and 150th Premier League goals against City as well. So there's something about City and landmarks for Wayne Rooney that he just loves. But he now joins Alan Shearer. They're the only two players to have scored 200 goals in the Premier League. So what a fantastic achievement for Wayne Rooney. And it's great to see him playing with so much confidence. I think now the pressure's off of him. The fact that, he probably has been taken out of the England fray, and the fact that he hasn't got all of this pressure on him at Manchester United, he can just enjoy his football again, and you can really see that in the way that he plays. All right, we know that City were dominant, and at the end of the day, they're always going to have so much of the possession, especially at home, because that's the way Guardiola plays his football. But, Everton did very, very well, deserved the point in the end, and all right, the sendings-offs were silly, both of them, but a good point for Everton. City will be disappointed to draw at home, but it's only the second week of the season, and when they've made as many signings as they have, you're not expecting them to always just be ticking the way that Pep would hope they would. So nothing too major to take away from it in terms of disappointment from City. This was always going to be one of the tougher games. But fair result in my opinion. On to Saturday, and of course the first game of the weekend saw Swansea host Manchester United, and it was another fantastic performance from United. I know it was only 1-0 with 10 minutes remaining, but for me, United never looked out of control of this game. They were so dominant. Swansea never really tested them, apart from the opening minute when Ayew almost caught De Gea out. Bailly looks as solid as anything. Pogba, I don't think he was lucky to not get a second yellow. I think the ref made the right call by just telling him to calm down. At the end of the day, you never want to see a player sent off. You want the game to be called right. I think if Pogba had made another challenge like that, then he would have deserved to have been sent off. But you've got to say, with Matic in that team, Pogba looks a different prospect entirely. He looks so much freer and happier when he's playing his football, and he looks more devastating as well. Took his goal very, very well. And Mkhitaryan, even though he wasn't really in the game too much, this is the thing that's exciting about United at the moment. They've got players like him and Lukaku, who pretty much weren't in the game at all. Yet Mkhitaryan ends up with 2 assists. Lukaku ends up on the score sheet. So, exciting for United in that prospect. And of course, when you look at their bench and they can bring on players like Martial, who scored another very Thierry Henry-esque like goal. You got to say, United look devastating at the moment, and you got to be expecting big things from them this season, because Jose looks to have his mojo back as well. So it's exciting. It's exciting. As for Swansea, it looks like they need some players. Hopefully, they're going to be able to invest some money into their squad from the Sigurdsson sale very quickly, because without him and Llorente, they're just not the same team that were able to stay up last season. And like I said, it was pretty easy for United. It was like watching a training match in some ways. So disappointing for Swansea, but the perfect start to the season for Manchester United. Liverpool versus Palace. Yeah, it's what you expected. Liverpool ran out easy enough winners. Palace had one major chance, and Benteke should have put it away. But Mane scores again. He's such a key player for Liverpool. Liverpool on the winning track finally this season. I know, obviously, after last week, they should have won last week. They didn't. Bit of an unfair call. But, 1-0 to get themselves off the mark, and, you expect them to kick on for now. Palace, a better performance than the one they put in against Huddersfield, but still disappointing. But hopefully third time will be the charm when it comes to Premier League results. And they'll pick up the first win of the season in the third week. When you look at Leicester versus Brighton, it's what I predicted, 2-0. And, Leicester look red hot, especially Mahrez. And credit to him as well. When you see that, Coutinho's injured, Van Dijk is injured, Sanchez is injured, when they're all linked away from the club. Mahrez, who's had 3 bids from Roma put in for him, still playing for Leicester, and he looks red hot. Look back in the form that he was in when Leicester won the title. And if he does stay, let's hope he carries on that, because if he does, and Vardy keeps up his form, and Okazaki keeps up his form, and Maguire back in defence, wow, what a signing he is, because he looks so good for them. Leicester can have another very, very solid season, and I predicted they'd do pretty well. So, these are the kind of results you expect Leicester to have. Maybe against the bigger teams they might struggle. Obviously, they're away to Man United next week, and with the form United are in, you're not expecting them to win that. But still, very good performance for Leicester and exciting for them. Watford versus Bournemouth. Bit of a shock. Was not expecting Watford to beat Bournemouth. Silva does make Watford look very, very solid as a team. They have invested in their team very well. Bournemouth look they just look a bit sleepy. They need to wake up a little bit. But it's so early in the season, a few bad results, but I think they will be able to turn it around. But yeah, this could be quite an exciting season for Watford. We all know that Silva was very, very good for Hull as their manager. He just came in a bit too late to save them, but a lot of positives to take away. So yeah, exciting result for Watford. Southampton versus West Ham. Javier Hernandez is on like a one-man mission for West Ham at the moment. He looked their best player at Old Trafford, even though the rest of the team and them as a whole collapsed entirely. But he had so much fight in him, and when they were 2-0 down, if it wasn't for him, they could have potentially had another very, very bad result on their hands. And all right, I know they lost in the end because of 2 penalties and some bad mistakes, but there are positives to take away from West Ham. They cut out these silly mistakes. You can see they are going to be a solid team and do well this season. Southampton, good result for them to get their first win of the season, and it's going to be interesting to see how both of these teams do over the coming weeks. But Hernandez looks red hot with those 2 goals, and you're expecting him to get over 20 goals this season in the Premier League. West Brom versus Burnley. West Brom, another 1-0 win. Like I said, they're going to be aiming to get that 40 points as quickly as they possibly can. It's just a case as to whether or not they are going to be able to maintain the kind of form they generally tend to find themselves in after they hit that 40-point mark. But yeah, they look a solid outlet. Burnley kind of brought back down to earth after that win at Chelsea last week. And yeah, there wasn't really too much that happened in the game, but well-taken goal from Robson Kanu. Bit silly for getting himself sent off. But positives to take away for West Brom. Another solid result. Very good start to the season. And then, of course, we come to Huddersfield versus Newcastle. Great result for Huddersfield. I predicted they'd beat Newcastle. Newcastle, there seems to be quite a lot of issues at the club. You hear so much about players they didn't manage to bring in and the fact Ashley hasn't got any money. But overall, something needs to happen because they do look pretty poor. And it needs to happen quick because the Premier League's pretty unforgiving. And look, it is very early. It's only week 2, but if they don't sort themselves out soon, they could find themselves in serious trouble, even though I still think they will generally stay up. As for Huddersfield, great result, and it's been a very, very good start to the season for you, sitting second in the table, so enjoy it while you can. And that pretty much sums up all of the action from week 2 of the Premier League season. So, I'd love to hear what you guys thought of everything that happened over the weekend. What was your favourite goal of the weekend? What was the result that surprised you the most? And, out of all the teams so far, maybe aside from Manchester United, who's really impressed you? Who's shocked you in many ways? Comment below, please let me know. As always, if you want to keep up to date with my Premier League predictions, Premier League reviews, don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you guys later in the week with my Week 3 Premier League predictions.